They said it was finally over. Becky Swain in a prison cell, 12 years handed down. The door slammed shut on the most explosive villain arc Weatherfield has seen in years. Lisa breathed out. Betsy breathed out. Even the viewers at home breathed out. But somebody forgot to tell Becky that the story was finished. And in a brand new Coronation Street video that has fans buzzing all over again, we get the answer to the question everybody's been asking. Is Lisa really safe now that Becky's behind bars? Spoiler alert, not even close. Stick around because this one has twists you did not see coming. Hello, and welcome back to the channel, your home for everything happening on the cobbles, and today we are diving straight into one of the most talked about Coronation Street storylines of the last 12 months. If you've been following along, you already know that Becky Swain has put DS Lisa Swain, her on-off wife and the mother of her teenage daughter Betsy, through an absolute ringer. If you're just catching up, don't worry. We're going to walk you through everything you need to know before we get into the brand new footage that has everyone talking because trust us, this development deserves the full picture. Let's rewind for a second. For those who don't watch every single episode, Lisa Swain is a detective sergeant in Weatherfield, a steady, dependable figure who spent a long time believing her wife, Becky, was dead. That's not a metaphor. By the way, Becky was presumed to have died, and Lisa carried that grief for years, eventually finding new love with Carla Connor, the iconic underworld boss who has been through her own fair share of soap opera chaos over the decades. Lisa and Carla built something real together. They got engaged. Betsy, Lisa's daughter, started to see a proper family unit forming around her again after so much loss. And then Becky came back from the dead. Not literally resurrected in some fantastical twist, but revealed to have faked her own death entirely, hiding away in Spain while everyone who loved her mourned a woman who was very much alive. The reveal alone was a gut punch, but it was only the beginning. Becky didn't just quietly reappear and ask for forgiveness. She came back determined to reclaim the life she'd left behind, and that meant setting her sights on unraveling everything Lisa and Carla had built. What followed was months of manipulation, jealousy, secrets, and slowly escalating danger, with Becky worming her way back into Betsy's life, driving a wedge between Lisa and Carla at every turn, and eventually revealing a much darker side that went far beyond a jilted ex trying to win back her family. Because here's the thing that made this storyline so gripping. Becky wasn't just heartbroken and desperate. She was tangled up in something far more sinister involving a corrupt police officer, D.I. Costello, and a web of lies stretching back to before her supposed death. As the story deepened, viewers learned that a woman named Tia Wardley had been used to help fake Becky's death, and that Tia herself had been murdered as part of the cover-up. Suddenly, Becky wasn't just a woman trying to win back her wife. She was a woman with blood-soaked secrets, being blackmailed and manipulated by a bent copper who wanted her gone for good, and willing to do almost anything to protect the version of her family she still believed she deserved. That instability spilled out in dramatic fashion. Becky was involved in confrontations with Costello. She disrupted Lisa and Carla's relationship time and time again. She put Betsy directly in harm's way, and in one of the most jaw-dropping stretches of the storyline, she was linked to firebombing her own family's home. Then came the crossover event fans have been calling the Corriedale Special, a genuinely huge crossover with Emmerdale that saw the drama boil over into a multi-car pileup, a desperate race against time, and Lisa left badly injured as fire crept dangerously close to the wreckage while Becky tried, one last time, to simply walk away from the chaos she'd caused. It was in the aftermath of that chaos that Lisa finally did what fans had been begging her to do for months. She arrested Becky. Handcuffs on, rights read aloud, the whole thing. Even as Becky made one final attempt to manipulate her, leaning in close in the back of an ambulance and reminding Lisa of the love they once shared, Lisa turned her head away.
She chose truth.
She chose accountability. And by extension, whether she was ready to admit it out loud yet or not, she chose Carla. That should have been the end of it, right? Becky finally caught, finally facing consequences, finally out of the picture so Lisa and Carla could pick up the pieces of their relationship and start rebuilding. And for a hot minute, it really did look that way. Becky was placed behind bars awaiting sentencing, and Lisa went to visit her one last time, presumably to close the door on this entire chapter of her life for good. But this is Coronation Street we're talking about, and nothing is ever quite that simple. This is where the new footage comes in, and it's exactly why fans have been sent into a fresh spiral of speculation. In the scenes everyone's talking about, Lisa heads to the prison expecting some kind of closure, maybe even an apology, or at the very least confirmation that this nightmare really is drawing to a close. What she gets instead is Becky making it crystal clear that she is far from done. Sitting across from her estranged wife behind bars, Becky doesn't grovel, and she doesn't back down. Instead, she twists the knife one more time, hinting that she still has leverage over Lisa, leverage tied directly to that police corruption scandal that's been bubbling under the surface of this entire storyline. The implication is unmistakable. If Becky wants to, she can drag Lisa down with her when this whole thing eventually goes to court. Naturally, that threat sends a chill through the scene, and it's exactly the kind of gut-punch twist Coronation Street writers love to drop just when audiences think a story is winding down. Lisa walks away from that meeting rattled, uncertain, and forced to reckon with the reality that even locked up, Becky still has cards to play. It's a brutal reminder that just because someone is behind bars doesn't mean they've lost their power to hurt the people around them, especially when that person has spent the better part of a year proving just how far she's willing to go. What makes this particular beat land so hard for viewers is the way it plays against expectations. So much of this storyline has built toward the satisfaction of watching Becky finally face justice, watching Lisa finally see her clearly for who she really is. And there is real catharsis in that arrest, in that moment where Lisa turns away from Becky's kiss and chooses her real life instead. But the show is smart enough to know that closure in a soap rarely arrives all at once. There's always one more twist, one more complication, one more reason for the audience to keep tuning in 3 nights a week wondering what on earth is going to happen next. Fans have wasted no time reacting to this development, and the discussion online has been exactly as heated as you'd expect. Plenty of viewers are praising the storyline for refusing to wrap things up in a neat little bow, arguing that a character as calculating and self-serving as Becky would absolutely try to use any leverage she has left, even from behind bars. Others are frustrated on Lisa's behalf, feeling like the character has already been through an exhausting emotional gauntlet and deserves a real break rather than yet another threat hanging over her head. There's also been a lot of chatter specifically about that word, chilled, that's been used to describe Lisa's reaction in the aftermath. Some fans read it as Lisa finally developing a thicker skin after everything Becky has put her through, a sign that she's learned not to let Becky's manipulation rattle her the way it once did. Others think it's more unsettling than reassuring, wondering if Lisa is underestimating just how dangerous a cornered Becky can be, especially with a corruption scandal that could take down more than just one person if it ever fully unravels. Social media has also been full of side conversations about where this leaves Carla. Remember, Carla lived through genuine terror during this storyline, effectively held hostage by circumstances Becky set in motion, and she's already had to process the fact that Lisa slept with Becky at one particularly low point during their separation. If Becky's threats about the corruption scandal do end up dragging Lisa's name through the mud, or worse, actually implicating her in some way, that's yet another blow for Carla to absorb just as she and Lisa were tentatively finding their way back to each other. Several fans have pointed out that Coronation Street's producer, Kate Brooks, gave an interview suggesting that happier days are ahead for the couple, often referred to online by the ship name Swarla, now that Becky's true colors have been revealed for everyone to see. That interview painted a picture of a couple who love each other deeply and are ready to move forward, which makes this new prison threat land as an extra gut punch, a reminder that the show isn't quite finished making them work for their happy ending. So, what does this all mean going forward? For Lisa, it likely means the corruption storyline isn't fully closed just because Becky is behind bars. There's still a court case to come, and if Becky follows through on her threat, Lisa could find herself facing serious professional consequences, an internal investigation, suspension, or worse, right as she's trying to rebuild her personal life. For a character who has spent this entire arc trying to do the right thing, often too slowly for fans' liking, that kind of institutional threat feels like it could be the next major test of her resilience. For Carla, this development raises the question of just how much more she's willing to weather. She's already proven she loves Lisa enough to stick around through kidnapping, betrayal, and a rival literally trying to destroy her relationship from the inside. But there's a difference between forgiving Lisa for past mistakes and being dragged into an ongoing legal and professional crisis with no clear end date. If the writers want to keep testing this couple, Becky's parting threat from behind bars gives them exactly the mechanism to do it. And for Becky herself, this scene raises fascinating questions about where her character goes from here. 12 years is a long sentence, but soap opera prison stints have a funny way of becoming plot devices rather than permanent exits. Will we see Becky pop up again down the line, still scheming from behind bars, perhaps orchestrating something even from a distance? Will the corruption scandal expand to implicate other characters we haven't even considered yet? Characters connected to D.I. Costello's wider web of dirty dealings? There's clearly still unfinished business tied to Tia Wardley's murder and the full scope of what Costello is covering up, and Becky's threat to Lisa suggests the show isn't done mining that particular vein of drama. There's also been plenty of speculation among fans about whether this is setting up a courtroom storyline down the line, something Coronation Street has done to great dramatic effect in the past. Picture it. Lisa on the stand, Becky smirking from the dock or via video link, old secrets spilling out in front of a packed courtroom while Carla watches from the gallery, unsure whether the woman she loves is about to lose everything all over again. It's exactly the kind of high-stakes, emotionally charged set piece that soap fans live for, and if the show is teasing this level of threat from Becky, a courtroom reckoning wouldn't be a surprise at all. Of course, all of this remains speculation until the show confirms exactly where it's heading, and that's part of the fun of following a storyline like this in real time. Every new clip, every new interview, every hint dropped by cast or crew becomes another piece of a puzzle that fans are eager to assemble before the official episodes even air. And with a storyline this layered, involving corruption, faked deaths, a murdered woman, a fractured family, and a love story still trying to find its footing, there's clearly a lot of runway left before Coronation Street considers the Becky saga truly finished. So, let's bring it all together. Becky Swain may be behind bars, finally facing justice after a storyline that has run for the better part of a year, filled with manipulation, danger, and heartbreak for everyone around her. Lisa may have found the strength to finally choose truth over old loyalty, arresting the woman she once loved and turning away from one last attempt at manipulation. But this new footage makes it painfully clear that the story isn't done with either of them yet. Becky's parting threat, hinting she can still drag Lisa into the police corruption scandal that's haunted this entire arc, proves that even a prison cell can't fully contain her chaos. Lisa might look chilled on the surface, but underneath, there's clearly a storm still brewing, and Carla, Betsy, and everyone caught in Becky's orbit may not be out of the woods just yet. This is shaping up to be one of the most rewarding long-form storylines Coronation Street has produced in years, precisely because it refuses to give viewers an easy, tidy resolution. Just when you think the villain's been dealt with, the show reminds you that real consequences don't disappear the moment handcuffs go on. That's what keeps a soap opera storyline alive for months on end, and it's exactly why we'll be keeping a very close eye on how this plays out in the weeks ahead. What do you think is coming next for Lisa, Carla, and Becky? Do you believe Becky actually has enough leverage to blow up that corruption case, or is she just bluffing to hold onto whatever tiny bit of control she has left? Let us know your theories in the comments down below. We absolutely love reading through them and seeing what you all think is coming. If you enjoyed this breakdown, do us a favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel out more than you'd think. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a Coronation Street update the moment it drops. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.